Hi everyone, we're back for another episode of The Pitch to give you insight into some of the most pressing things happening here at USADA. This month, we're talking about a topic that USADA and anti-doping organizations around the world are all focused on, which is the 2021 World Anti-Doping Code. The World Anti-Doping Agency issues an updated code around every 5 years, and that code is designed to harmonize anti-doping rules and protocols for organizations and athletes around the world. To talk about the changes to the 2021 code, I have our resident expert here today, Ted Koehler, who is our legal affairs and trial counsel manager at USADA. Put simply, he works on our legal department. He's been instrumental in helping to identify and interpret the impact of the code changes. Thanks for joining us today, Ted.
Thanks for having me.
So when it comes to the 2021 code, what are some of the most impactful changes for athletes?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of changes, but let's just focus on two of them for now. And the first one is the definition of in competition. So under the 2021 code, in competition is defined as the period beginning at 11:59 p.m. on the day before a competition in which the athlete is going to compete, through the end of the competition and the sample collection process related to that competition. The second change that I think is worth talking about is related to athlete categorization. So the 2021 code establishes a category of athletes called recreational athletes, and anti-doping organizations like USADA are able to define recreational athletes for themselves, subject to certain limitations from WADA. But generally, the term recreational athlete refers to an athlete who is not in a testing pool. And as you know, USADA has two testing pools. There's the RTP, or the Registered Testing Pool, and the CAP, or the Clean Athlete Program. And the code, the 2021 code, allows greater flexibility in sanctions for anti-doping rule violations involving recreational athletes. And the theory here is that these athletes participate in sport only at the recreational level, and in many instances have not received the same amount of anti-doping education as have athletes who are in one of the testing pools.
Makes sense. So the code also establishes rules around substances of abuse. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so the code establishes a category of substances called substances of abuse, which are substances that are both prohibited in competition and that are frequently abused in society outside the context of sport. So the following substances are on the prohibited list as substances of abuse right now: cocaine, heroin, MDMA, and THC. And there are other substances that are being considered right now for inclusion on that list, but for now, those are the ones on there. Positive tests involving substances of abuse are subject to specific rules in the 2021 code. In particular, if an athlete tests positive for a substance of abuse and is able to demonstrate that that positive test, number one, was out of competition, and number two, was unrelated to sport performance, then that athlete will receive a sanction of 3 months. And if the athlete completes a substance abuse program that is approved by USADA, then the sanction is reduced even further to 1 month.
Gotcha. So are there any other changes that might be important for athletes and support personnel to be aware of?
I think there's one more that's worth mentioning, and that relates to whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is a new violation this year. It's protected under the code. As many people know, whistleblowing is reporting information to authorities. And under the 2021 code, it's now a violation to threaten, intimidate, or discourage a person from reporting information to authorities about potential anti-doping rule violations, or to retaliate against a person for doing so. And an athlete support person, or other person who is subject to the code who does threaten, intimidate, discourage, or retaliate against somebody who reports that information is subject to a sanction of between 2 years and lifetime ineligibility, depending on the seriousness of the violation.
All right. Thanks for the awesome overview, Ted. It was great to have your expert insight.
My pleasure.
That's it for today, and we'll see you for the next episode of the USADA Pitch.